Hey guys, I'm going to help you out with lesson 6 homework. Let's go ahead and get started. First one says we're gonna be determining the sums and differences, but the first one says 5 quarts plus 3 quarts equals blank gallons. Well, 5 quarts plus 3 quarts is 8 quarts, but you got to know how many quarts are in a gallon to convert that. And we know, and I'll even draw the big G over here that we've been practicing with to practice. So 1 gallon has 4 quarts inside of it. Each quart has 2 pints. And each pint has 2 cups. And that's going to be kind of hard to see, but 2 little C's in each of the P's. So if we have 8 quarts, well, we know that 4 quarts is 1 gallon. So 4 will give us 1, and 8 will give us 2 whole gallons. All right, the next one says 1 gallon and 2 quarts plus 2 quarts. Well, if I have 1 gallon, 2 quarts plus 2 quarts is 4 quarts. Well, 4 quarts is the same thing as another gallon, and a gallon is 2 gallons. All right, number 3, we have 1 gallon minus 3 quarts. Well, if we look over at our big G, if you took away 3 of those quarts, all that's going to be left is 1 quart. Okay, D, 3 gallons minus 2 quarts. Well, that's kind of hard to do without changing one of the gallons into quarts. So this is how I'm going to write them. Say 3 gallons. I can split that up into 2 gallons and 4 quarts. Or 2 gallons and 1 gallon. And 1 gallon is the same thing as 4 quarts. And if I took one of those gallons and took away 2 quarts, I would have 2 quarts left. So I have 2 gallons and 2 quarts. All right, let's look at E. I have 1 cup plus 3 cups. Well, if I look over there, 4 cups is actually equal to 1 quart, because if you go over there and count, there are 4 C's inside of each Q. All right, let's look at F. 2 quarts and 3 cups plus 5 cups will give you 8 cups. Well, 8 cups, 1, 2, 3, 4. There's 4 cups in a quart, so that's 2 extra quarts. And so 2 quarts plus 2 quarts would give you 4 quarts. All right, let's look at G. 1 quart minus 1 pint. Well, if we look at a quart, there are 2 pints in a quart. So if I took out 1 pint, we would just have 1 pint left. In H, we have 6 quarts minus 5 pints. Well, that's going to be a little bit difficult to do, so we're going to change the 6 quarts. Or actually, let's think about it this way. 2 pints is a quart, right? So when I'm subtracting the 5 pints, it's like I'm subtracting 2.5 quarts. Well, 6 quarts is the same thing as 12 pints. If I take away those 5 pints, then I'll get 8 pints left. Well, if I look back up there, 8 pints, or not 8, I'm sorry, that should be a 7. 12 minus 5 is 7, not 8. Let's fix that real quick. If we look up there at the big G, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, that's going to be 3 whole quarts that we filled up with pints, with 1 pint left over. So all these problems are about really knowing the relationship between gallons, quarts, and pints. All right, find the following sums and differences. So we have 4 gallons and 2 quarts plus 3 quarts. So when I add that up, I'll get 4 gallons and 5 quarts. And we can't leave it like that because we know those 5 quarts are actually the same thing. If I take out 4 of them, that's the same thing as a gallon. So what I'll be left with is I add that gallon to the 4 and I get 5 gallons and 1 quart. All right, let's look at B. We have 12 gallons, 2 quarts, plus 5 gallons and 3 quarts. So let's add our gallons first. 12 plus 5 is 17 gallons. And then 2 quarts plus 3 quarts is 5 quarts. So it's going to be the same thing as last time. I split that 5 quarts up into 4 quarts and 1 quart because I know 4 quarts is a gallon. And I add that gallon back, so I'll get 18 gallons and 1 quart. All right, C, we have 7 gallons and 2 pints minus 3 pints. So 7 gallons. Well, before I can subtract those, I've got to make it so I could say 2 pints. Well, so we could subtract. So I'm going to split that 7 gallons into 6 gallons and 8 pints, because 8 pints is the same as a gallon. And now when I add those 8 pints back to 2 pints, I'll get 10. And now I'm able to subtract to get 6 gallons and 7 pints. Okay, let's look at D. Got 11 gallons and 3 pints minus 4 gallons and 6 pints. 11 minus 4 will give us 7 gallons. And we have 3 pints minus 6 pints. Well, we can't really do that as it is. So we're going to take one of those gallons that we subtracted and split it up. And so 7 gallons is the same thing as 6 gallons and 8 pints, because 8 pints is in a gallon, are in a gallon. So now I'm going to say 6 gallons and 8 plus those 3 that I already had would give me 11 pints minus 6 pints. And 11 minus 6 would give us 4 pints left over. So my answer is 6 gallons. Actually, I'm not 4, 5, and 5 pints. All right, let's look at E. We have 2 quarts and 5 cups plus 6 cups. When I add 5 cups and 6 cups, I will get 11 cups. So we have 2 quarts and 11 cups. Well, 11 cups, if we go back up to our big G, let's look at that. 11 cups is going to give us, well, there's 4 cups in, 4 cups in a quart. So if I pull out 8 cups, that's the same thing as 2 quarts. And then I'll have 3 cups left over. And so altogether, when I add those quarts, I'll get 14 quarts and 3 cups. All right, let's look at F. We have 8 gallons and 6 pints plus 5 gallons and 4 pints. 8 plus 5 will give you 13 gallons. And 6 pints plus 4 pints is 10 pints. Well, if I look back up at my big G, let's see how many pints are in a gallon. It looks like 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. So 8 pints I could pull out, and that would be an extra gallon. And I have 2 pints left over. So that extra gallon would make my total 14 gallons and 2 pints. All right, let's move on to the back. Okay, it says the capacity of a bucket is 5 gallons. Right now it contains 3 gallons and 2 quarts of liquid. How much more liquid can the bucket hold? Well, if I want to figure out the amount of space that I have left to use, I'm going to take the total, so 5 gallons, and I'm going to subtract 3 gallons and 2 quarts. Well, I can't subtract quarts where I don't have quarts, so I'm going to rewrite 5 gallons. I'm not going to subtract the gallons first. I'm going to rewrite 5 gallons as 4 gallons and 4 quarts, because 4 quarts is the same as that extra gallon, so that way it's easier to subtract. So I'm going to rewrite the 5 gallons as 4 gallons and 4 quarts. I'm just renaming it. And then I can subtract the 3 gallons and the 2 quarts. Well, 4 gallons minus 3 gallons will give me 1 gallon. And 4 quarts minus 2 quarts will give me 2 quarts. So I have 1 gallon and 2 quarts of space left to go. All right, let's look at number 4. Grace and Joyce follow the recipe in the table to make homemade bubble solution. How much solution does this recipe make? Well, this is going to take me a little bit, but we want to add up all those amounts, but we have a bunch of different measurements, so let's see what we can do. We have 2 gallons and 3 pints. We have 2 quarts and 1 cup. And then we have those 2 cups to add to it. But when I add those together, I get 2 gallons, 3 pints. Actually, let's do all these in different colors to make a little bit more sense. So we have 2 gallons and 2 quarts. I'm going to go from biggest to smallest measurement. 3 pints, let's do that in green. And we have 1 cup. And then we have those 2 cups of corn syrup that we got to add. So altogether, I end up with 2 gallons, 2 quarts, 3 pints, and 3 cups. Now, I could leave my answer like that, but a lot of those things could be converted into another measurement. So let's see what we can do. Well, we know that 3 cups can be split into 2 cups and 1 cup, and 2 cups is the same thing as an additional pint. So I could rewrite this as 2 gallons, 2 cups, 2 gallons, 2 quarts, 4 pints, and 1 cup. So that's what we'll do first, because that 2 cups will give me an extra pint. But now we know that 4 pints is the same thing as 2 extra quarts. So now I can rewrite my total as 2 gallons, 4 quarts, and 1 cup. But wait, we know that 4 quarts is the same thing as another gallon, so now I can rewrite that as 3 gallons and 1 cup. It's a lot of converting here. Alright, and that's what we'll get. 3 gallons and 1 cup of liquid. Now B says how many more cups of solution would they need to fill a 4-gallon container? Well, to fill a 4-gallon container, I need to take 4 gallons and subtract what I've already got. Well, let's draw another big G down here to make it easier for us, and I'll match the colors too to make it easier for us to convert. Gallon is 4 quarts. Each quart has 2 pints. And each pint has 2 cups, which is kind of hard to draw, but I'm just going to draw 2 little C's in each one. Alright, so we got a 4-gallon container, so I'm going to say 4 gallons minus my 3 gallons and my 1 cup. Now before I can subtract, I'm going to rewrite that 4 gallons as 3 gallons, and how many cups are in a gallon? 16. So I'm going to say 3 gallons and 16 cups, because that's the same thing as 4 gallons, minus 3 gallons and 1 cup. That way I can subtract the cups. Well, 3 gallons minus 3 gallons will give us 0 gallons, and then 16 cups minus 1 cup will give us 15 cups. So that means I need 15 more cups of solution. Alright, if you have questions, let me know.